So I'm standing out here in our orchard on the farm. It's peak harvest season right now. And behind me here, we have just a huge amount of chestnut that produces every single year. And that's one of the huge benefits to chestnuts in comparison to oaks, is that they produce every year, whereas oaks can sometimes produce every other year or maybe even every 2 years, depending on different factors. But our chestnuts here produce every single year, and we know that we're going to get a significant harvest. Chestnuts can produce up to 2,000 pounds per acre, which is a huge amount of mast provided to your land. Some of the big nutritional differences in chestnuts and acorns is that chestnuts are more of a carbohydrate nut than your typical nut. They're about 40% carbohydrates and about 10% proteins, versus an acorn where they're about 50% fat and carbohydrate. And the carbohydrate's a really important source for wildlife as you come into the winter time to find high carbohydrate meals to pack on as much food as they can for the winter time. Another thing about chestnuts is that they're very sweet. To humans, we love them. I actually enjoy coming out and eating chestnut raw. It's my favorite way to enjoy it. But you hear chestnuts roasting over the open fire. They have a lot of natural sweetness to them and very little tannin in the nut itself, whereas oaks have a really high tannin content. White oak's a little less than a red oak, but tannin is super bitter. I've tasted oaks before as a kid, and it's not a very pleasant taste. And deer also have very sensitive taste buds, and much more, actually many more taste buds than humans have. And they're also very sensitive to taste and flavor. There's even been studies on using tannin as a spray deterrent on crops, because tannin is just not favorable to eat. And to some degree, oaks have produced tannin in their nuts over time as a way to deter wildlife from eating it, because the tree has adapted to make sure that its nut continues to grow and not get completely eaten up. But chestnut is very sweet and very preferable, and a highly producing tree every single year. So something we like to think about when planting for your local habitat is to make sure that you have a wide variety of nutrition sources for wildlife. From soft mast and persimmon, pear, peach, blackberry, blueberry, mulberry, apple, crab apple, and then hard masts like oaks, pecan, chestnut. When you spread out a variety of different trees on your property, you're allowing not only for different nutrition sources for your local habitat, but you're also providing food that is ready at many different times of the year. You can have food that starts in the south here as early as March and mulberries and April. Going into the summer months, you start to get blueberries and plums, and then into the fall you can have a wide range of pear and persimmon and hard mast that is a little later into the season. So we like to suggest to plant as many varieties as possible on your planting site.